Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of my journey towards perfection in Stardew Valley. The last big hurdle for this year is going to be the golden clock. I need a total of 10 million gold for this one, and I already have about 1 million, so I'm confident that the Ancient and Starfruit Empire will provide for the rest. I've never had this building on any of my farms, so I am beyond excited for this. Now, because we're at the final episode, there just isn't that much left to do in the game, so there will be a couple of times where I'll skip ahead a few days, either because I'm not doing anything interesting, or nothing noteworthy at least, that I need to put in a video, so that it doesn't get too repetitive. I've been working on these videos for over a month now, so if you enjoy the content, then please leave a like, it really helps me out a lot, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, grab a snack, some water, and enjoy the video. Upon starting up my save file, I immediately got a cutscene with Grandpa, who told me that he's proud of me and that the future of Riverside Farm is in my own hands now. Don't worry Grandpa, I got this. To quickly summarize the whole last video, if you remember, we already finished the fishing and museum collection, got my hands on all of the star drops, completed the Monster Slayer goals, built all of the obelisks, and collected every single walnut on Ginger Island. Well, I did make my life a bit easier in the end by paying the golden Georgia parrot, but it's done now. So what's left to do? Well, the shipping collection is currently missing 1 tea leaf and 1 green tea, which I already have planted in the greenhouse. We already made decent progress with the cooking recipes last year as well. I'm only missing a few more recipes from villagers and some other ingredients. That should be done rather quickly as well. The crafting collection, or menu, whatever you want to call it, I didn't really show too much of before because I just don't think it's very interesting to watch. Same as cooking, really. I'm missing 2 dragon tooth for 2 more crafting recipes, and then I need 1 recipe from the special order board, which is the solar panel from Caroline's Island ingredient quest. And I think that's about it. And of course the golden clock. Now you know the goals for this episode, let's finally start with the first day of spring in year 3. After walking out of my farmhouse, I saw the candles lit up on Grandpa's shrine, which means that I can collect the Statue of Perfection, which I put inside my house for now. I removed the dead crops from the fields, let my animals outside, and then went into town to check the special order board. Unfortunately, Caroline didn't post her quest. This is not good at all. As far as I know, this quest can only show up at the beginning of each month. After that, I rode to the Cindersap forest where I got acquainted with the trash bear, who asked for a bream. By the end of the day, I had planted some strawberry, carrot, potato, and parsnip seeds. The following day, I used one of my rain totems, for the first time ever I think. Why did I use a rain totem? Well, to make it rain of course, silly. I forgot to mention earlier, I also need to have maximum friendship with every single villager. That means 8 hearts with all of the romance candidates and 10 hearts with everyone else, including the dwarf, for whatever reason. It's not looking that bad. I already have a few maxed out, but then of course there's some others like Kent or Pierre, who I've been ignoring ever since I came here. So I handed out some gifts before heading over to the island, where I harvested my ancient fruit and then accepted Cheese Cuisine, where I need to ship 100,000 gold worth of cooked dishes. Thanks to the gift giving yesterday, I got the mango sticky rice from Leo and the strange bun recipe from Shane. Then went to Pierre's, where I bought a whole stack of wheat for Cheese Quest, and some iron and copper ore from Clint. Back at home, I turned the wheat flour into bread, but realized I had too little to finish the quest, so I had to go back to the shop, buy another stack of flour, which is way too expensive by the way, then made more bread and shipped everything off. I did some fishing in the sewers where I caught 4 carbs, which I need for cooking, and later at the beach I caught an eel, which again I need for cooking. That's why I used the rain totem by the way. Later in the evening I crafted 14 kegs, and now the 3rd shed is completed. Still not sure if I should maybe build a 4th one. Last thing I did today was cook the carb surprise, spicy eel, and mango sticky rice. Now we're only missing 2 more recipes to finish the collection. Day 228, I found a leek. That's very important because I need that for a crafting recipe. I gave Kent some roasted hazelnuts for his birthday, while he's still in bed. Jody doesn't mind, I'm sure. Then spent the whole day in the volcano dungeon to look for some dragon tooth. Pretty sure it was a bad luck day because I was not having a good time in there.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
And the next day I did the exact same thing. More volcano fun. though this time I did manage to find 2 more teeth, which is exactly just what I need. I went back to the farm where I crafted the mini forge and 1 island warp totem. The mini forge is actually amazing, it functions just like the forge on top of the volcano. Very handy to have. As I was checking up on the ponds next morning, I saw that the Stingray pond produced 1 dragon tooth. Are you kidding me? 1 single day after I crafted the last recipe that required those? Really? I took that very personally and headed over to the carpenter where I deleted the pond. Too little, too late. I don't think I ever destroyed a farm building before, but I needed the space anyways. For a 4th shed. Yep, I need more wine. Well, not really, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have. I placed more stone paths and fences in the shed area and then handed out some gifts to the townies. Day 231, nothing interesting happened, so we're skipping straight to 32, where I got the last cooking recipe in my mailbox, which is the super meal from Kent. I gathered all of the ingredients, made the dish, and with that, got the gourmet chef achievement. Finally, we're done with that. I hate cooking so much. After that, I wanted to hand the trash bear the fish that he was asking for, but he wasn't there. I guess he only shows up when it's nice weather. I just love wasting my time. Later, as I was handing out gifts again, I saw Sebastian near the mountain lake where he found an injured frog. I think this is his 14 card hut scene, which I've never seen before. He catched the injured frog and we agreed to try and nurse him back to health. Oh yeah, the reason why I was at the mountain lake was so that I can commission a shed upgrade from Robin, which I did. The next morning I saw the second half of the cutscene where Sebastian made a terrarium in his room. This is so cool! Sebastian was under the impression that the tiny frog cannot make it on his own anymore. I don't know how you even come to that conclusion, he's been here for 1 single night, but okay. I'm not a vet, so what do I know? Now we officially have 5 frogs in the house. It has to be so incredibly loud in here. I saw the trash bear again, where I gave him the bream, then a dandelion, and not sure what this is supposed to be. I know it's a cooking recipe, but I need to check that back at home. I visited the island, where I had another ancient fruit harvest to take care of. Accepted Cheese Kindness quest, where I need to hand out 50 love gifts in 1 week. This is perfect, since I'm doing that anyways. I wanted to set up some bee houses around the island with fairy roses to make that sweet fairy rose honey, but I didn't have any seeds at the moment, so that'll have to wait. And the rest of the day was me running around and handing out love gifts, which continued on day 234. I also figured out the item that the trash bear wanted. It was cheese cauliflower, by the way. I collected more starfruit wine on day 235, gave the trash bear the final item, which was bread, and in return he cleaned up the dirty cliffside next to the sewers, and even gifted Alex's dog a new doghouse and steak. What a friendly guy. The remaining day was spent at a quarry gathering stone and ore. Day 236 was spent entirely chopping trees in the Sunset Forest, because I never seem to have enough wood, and I am tired of having to pay heaps of money to Robin, who at this point should probably have more money than me now, with all of the buildings I've been commissioning from her over the past few years. The next day was the Egg Festival. Same as last year, I was just here for those sweet strawberry seeds. And I guess 1 more lawn flamingo. You can never have too many of those. Morning of 238 was me running around and handing out yet again more gifts. With that, finished Cheese Quest. I teleported to the island where I got the hopper recipe from the gem shop. It really pains me to spend that many points on recipes that I'll never use, but unfortunately it is required for perfection. This should also be the last one from a shop. Moving on to some more exciting days, it is time for the yearly Desert Festival. I prepared for a Skull Cavern run and then took the bus over to the desert. As always, I got a free meal from the chef, accepted the deep dive quest from Marlon, and then descended down into the mines. I spent pretty much the whole day down there, and after reaching floor 92, I decided to call it a day. I collected my reward from Jill, who was very impressed with my egg rating and gave me 200 eggs for that. And I even got his hat. Kinda cute, but nothing tops the pirate hat. Day 240 was spent again in the Skull Caves. I found, I think, my third white turban in a treasure chest. After I was happy with the amount of eggs I found, I emerged and had a look at all of the different vendors. I was beyond happy to see Shane and Caroline here today, because Shane has one of my favorite new items in stock, which is of course the chicken decal. I bought the exotic palace from Caroline, which is also a wall piece, as well as all of her green tea supply. Then checked the traveling merchant, and as if the chicken decal wasn't enough, she had the Junimo catalog for sale. Super expensive, but well worth the money. Back at home, I placed the chicken decal above our bed, and I think it fits really nicely in here. What do you guys think? It was the last day of the Desert Festival, and I headed into the mines yet again. But other than finding a crystallarium, nothing too interesting happened. I finished another quest from Marlon and then looked at all of the vendors' shops again. Unfortunately, Caroline was here again. Why? Same as last year, I traded in some eggs for a magic rock candy and didn't really know what else to get, so I bought all 3 of the new headpieces from the egg merchant, which are the mummy mask, blue and dark velvet bow, and some random furniture pieces. I spent the rest of my time collecting wine and refilling kegs. Morning on day 242, I went straight to Willie's, where I bought some wall decorations and the Fisher double bed. It is finally time to decorate the island farmhouse, which, yes, I've definitely forgot about. While I was at the island, I had a look at the perfection tracker again, and we're at 86% now. Nice. And also accepted another quest. The first in-game hours was just me figuring out what wallpapers and flooring I wanted to have in here, and the next day I was of course still decorating. I also want to give a quick shout out to 920. I saw their farm design on Reddit, which the bedroom is heavily inspired by. I usually don't like looking stuff like this up, but I wanted to take my time with this and really make it look nice. Which is kind of funny because I rarely use the farmhouse. I also decided to move the kegs that were outside and place them inside the building. You never guess what I did on day 244. If you guess decorating, that's what I did. Midday, I made a quick trip over to Sandy's, where I bought a few more furniture pieces, and also starfood seeds. After a little while, I was done, and super happy with the layout. I think I might like this even more than the other house. There's still a couple of things I'd like to add, but I've spent enough time decorating now. I harvested my starfruit, replanted more seeds, and gave Shane a birthday present by the end of the day. It was the last day from Mr. G's Skull Cavern quest, so I headed over to the desert and also traded my jade again for staircases. I had exactly 100, so no matter if it was a good or bad luck day, I was prepared. I ate a rock candy before entering and then slowly made my way down. I found, I think, my 5th auto grabber, still no auto petter unfortunately, but more importantly, I got my hands on my very first Galaxy Soul. I had no idea that you can also just get these from slimes. I thought it was only available in the Walnut Room, so that's good to know. I reached floor 100 pretty fast, and my reward was a red slime egg. The game really wants me to build a slime hutch. As I was collecting my ancient fruit in the greenhouse, I saw that my tea bushes were finally done growing. That took so long. I traded my G-Gems for Pierre's missing stock list, accepted yet again Danger in the Deep, went back to the valley to hand Pierre the list, and bought 4 fairy rose seeds from him. I spent the remaining day setting up the honey farm on Ginger Island. It's not gonna be a lot of additional income, but every bit counts. The next morning I got the full shipment achievement, because the tea leaves was the last item that was missing. Another collection completed. Then spent the whole day in the mines to get started on Mr. G's quest. On day 248, I saw a second frog in Sebastian's terrarium. Is my husband just picking up random frogs from the street? Anyways, I made my way over to the Cindersap forest because it's time for the yearly flower dance. No idea why I even came here, I guess I just really wanted to dance with Sebastian, who was equally as enthusiastic about the festival as I was. After we danced, I collected 3 sheds of starfruit and ancient fruit wine and made it to bed just in time. The following 2 days were both spent in the mines, and on day 250 I made it to the bottom and finished the quest. I also got an enricher from a special slime earlier, And my 6th frog egg. Back at home, I tried to get some of the other color variants, so I wasted some of my precious iridium bars and ended up with a blue one. I think the frogs can have like 10 different color variants, and I really wish the parrot could also have some different ones. Maybe in a future patch. Since there can only be 4 frogs in one terrarium, I traded some broken glasses to the raccoon's wife and got a second jungle tank. I also took one of my green frogs and tried again to see if I could get some different colors, and actually got the prismatic variant, which looks absolutely amazing. Now it really looks like a frog sanctuary in here. Later that day, I stopped by the Walnut Room and traded my gems for another Galaxy Soul. The next morning I collected over 30 bottles of aged wine, handed out more gifts, bought a whole bunch of starfruit seeds for the upcoming summer, then didn't really know what else to do, but later I remembered that at the last day of the season, the island trader has a Galaxy Soul in his shop. So I headed over to the island where I traded 10 radioactive bars for a 3rd Galaxy Soul. With that, I was able to transform my Galaxy Sword into the Infinity Blade and even got an achievement for that. Goodbye, Dragontooth Club. You have been an exceptional companion throughout the last few months. Thank you for your service. It is summer once again on day 253. I prepared the field, went to Pierre's for some deluxe speed grow, and of course checked the special order board in town. And finally had Caroline's Island ingredient quest on there. And thank God it's for pineapples and not for ginger. I went over to my island farm to pick up the pineapple seeds I've been collecting so far, traded a few magma caps at the island trader for more seeds, and planted everything back at home, along with a bunch of starfruit seeds. Since I have the whole season to ship 100 pieces of pineapple, that should be enough for the quest. I hope at least. Day 254, I added a few more bee houses to the honey farm, then spent a good amount of my time decorating the path that leads up to the mountain lake. For no particular reason, really, I just didn't know what else to do. As I was collecting more wine the next morning, I remembered that I still have this one shed that I didn't end up using after all. I couldn't keep up with the insane amount of wood that you need for kegs, and buying wood at this point is just way too expensive. To keep the series a bit more interesting, I thought, why not have a little side project where I try to get my hands on some more rare hats and display them in the shed. See, over the span of this playthrough, I've been collecting so many cool hats, but I have nowhere to put them. I don't have any kids, and only one dog and one horse. So what else could I do with them? Well, I could just go to Sandy and buy a whole bunch of mannequins, but that's too boring, and also costs way too much money. Money that I'll need soon, so on what else can you place hats? The Alien Rare Crow. That's right, you can place hats on this one specifically. It doesn't require any actual money, just gambling at the casino, and you can have as many of them as you want. So I went over to Robin's to swap out the wine shed with the empty one, and then headed over to the casino. I kinda underestimated how many points you actually need for one Alien Rare Crow, so I only got 2 today, but also the top hat. Back at home, I put the 2 rare crows in the shed, one with the top hat and the other with the mystery hat. Later, I planted some taro tubers on the island farm so that I can trade them to the island trader in the future. Day 256, I gave Jazz a birthday present, went again to the casino and spent some time gambling at the slot machine. After a little while, I had enough to buy 15 more rare crows and also this really cool wallpaper. I collected some of the hats I've been hoarding so far from my house and displayed everything in the shed. I am already way too invested into this. I visited the island where I fished inside the frog cave and got my hands on the frog head. Exchanged 5 gems for Mr. Cheese hat at the Walnut Room, traded some coconuts for golden coconuts, and opened them at Clint's. I was hoping to get my hands on a coconut helmet, but I had no luck with that unfortunately. The next day I went to Robin's, where I added a dining area to the kitchen and expanded the corner room. If you couldn't tell, I'm in a decorative mood right now. And yeah, most of the day was spent adding furniture to a corner room, which continued the following day. I also stopped by the Desert Trader, where I traded 999 pieces of coal for the dark piano. It looked very interesting, and I wanted to have it. By day 259 I was done. The corner room features mostly items from the Junimo catalog, and I love it. The piano is inside the dining area, and yeah, I think it turned out pretty cozy. I visited the traveling merchant where I bought the retro catalog. For No particular reason, I just like to have all of the different catalogs at my disposal, in case I decide to redecorate again. I had a starfruit and ancient fruit harvest ready on the island farm, and also collected my first batch of fairy rose honey. Never ceases to amaze me how well this sells. Almost 40k just for some honey is not bad at all. It was a good luck day on 260, so I was off to the casino, where I spent a good amount of my time gambling at the slot machine. And I don't mean in-game time, because the timer is paused while you're at the machine. I mean real time. In total, I think I already spent like 2.5 hours here. Thank God editing exists. I purchased another 15 rare crows, went back to the farm to tend to my animals, where I get jump scared by a truffle crab, who ran away from me. I read about truffle crabs before, but never seen one, so I was a bit confused at first. I crafted myself 6 new hats at the tailoring machine. The dino hat, totem mask, fashion hat, hairbone, pumpkin and blobfish mask, and of course displayed them in the shed. We're skipping right ahead to day 236. The first pineapple harvest was ready, and also the taro tubers on the island. I collected more honey, traded 50 omni geodes to the desert trader for the green turban, and later tailored 5 more hats. The spotted headscarf, beanie and floppy beanie, the fishing and propeller hat. The next morning I saw that more aged wine was ready, then stopped by the raccoon, who I gave smoked fish and 5 snails, which he requested ages ago. And he gave me once again more fairy dust, just what I wanted. I traded 30 taro root for the deluxe cowboy hat, and then went to the dwarf in the volcano mine, where I purchased the pink bow from him. I gave Alex a birthday present on day 265, which bumped me up to max hearts with him. Since I'm not crafting any more kegs, I decided to remove the oak tree farm in front of the shed, planted 2 mango trees, and laid out a path for the golden clock. I don't like the spot one bit, but I have nowhere else to put it. Today I was handing out some gifts again to Leo, Clint, Kent. Now I'm only missing 1 heart with the dwarf to have every single villager at maximum friendship points. I harvested a few more pineapples and ancient fruit on the island, then crafted myself 8 more hats. All 3 party hats, the normal pirate hat, bridal veil, witch hat, radioactive goggles, and the swashbuckler hat. And here's a little update on the alien shed. It's coming along very nicely. Day 267 was the Green Rain event, but I had no interest of running around and collecting fiber this time. Instead, I went to the movie theater, where I got my hands on a few more decorations from the Crane game. I managed to get both the Bobo and Wombo statue, which look absolutely cursed, perfect for a shed, a few more movie posters, plants, and also 2 deluxe and exotic trees. I placed most of the stuff in the alien shed, and I'm loving how it looks now. Skipping ahead to day 270, I had another pineapple harvest, which should be enough to finish Caroline's quest. I crafted 5 more hats, normal goggles, the star and warrior helmet, sunglasses, and forager's hat, which I of course displayed in the shed. Now I pretty much tailored all of the hats in the game, but I still had a few empty rare crows. By the way, I spent the last 2 days in the casino again, and I think that was also the last time. I've been spending so much time in there, I think I have enough rare crows now. I had a look at the Hat Mouse's shop, but I couldn't decide on what I want to have, so I'll come back to that a bit later. 271 was a glorious day. I finally got the solar panel recipe in my meal, which I crafted right away, and with that got the Craft Master achievement for crafting every single recipe in the game. Thank God, that is done now. I collected my honey over on Ginger Island, accepted Cheese Skull Cavern Invasion once again, moved the shed and the greenhouse by 1 tile down so that it is in line with the house and stable. I wanted to make the farm look a bit nicer, so I removed some of the wooden paths, moved some of the sprinklers, but I have no idea if I actually like this more or not. And the next day I was still decorating outside. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I'm way better at interior design than whatever this is supposed to be. I was heavily debating on whether or not to remove the giant pumpkin, but I just couldn't bring myself to destroy it. Sunday was the last day for the Skull Cavern quest, so I headed over to the desert, traded my jade, and made my way down to floor 100. On my way, I found a blue and dark cowboy hat, and before midday, I finished the quest. I left immediately after because I had way too much money on me at the moment. Back on the island, I got the Junimo chests and 4 pressure nozzles from the gem shop. I gave the dwarf his final aquamarine, and with that, finally had max hearts with everyone in town. The only thing that is missing now is the golden clock. I spent the remaining day figuring out how the pressure nozzles work again, which I wanted to use on the sprinklers in the greenhouse. I did figure it out eventually, and may or may not have destroyed a few ancient fruit plants in the process. Again, a nightmare to figure this out without the UI InfoSuit. Day 274, another starfruit harvest on the island. I traded my taro root for a small cap at the island trader, then decorated the greenhouse more. Yes, I know I am missing a tree on the left side. I was kinda hoping that I would maybe get another banana sapling, but I never did. I'll move the one from the island in here eventually. And we're skipping right ahead to day 290. To quickly summarize the past 2 weeks, I finally got an autopetter in a golden mystery box, traded more taro root for the blue bird mask, I bought 3 hats from the Hat Mouse shop, the Infinity Crown, Space Helmet and Jester Hat, which I placed in the alien shed, and now my collection is almost done. Almost. More wine and honey collecting. I went again to the movie theater where I got both of the serpent statues for the shed. I decorated the island farm a bit with fences, wooden paths and jungle torches. And yeah, that's about it. Finally, the day was here. After all my hard work over the past few months, I had enough money accumulated for the golden clock. Full of excitement, I rushed over to the wizard's tower and built it on my farmland. And there it is, 100% completed on the perfection tracker. I headed straight to the train station, but was a bit confused since the boulder was still there, but I guess I'll have to wait until tomorrow. The next morning I got some very interesting notifications in the morning. The legacy of Riverside Farm is eternal. Okay, sounds a bit ominous. I headed yet again to the train station, but this time the rock was gone. At the top of the summit, Sebastian was waiting for me, and I also got the perfection achievement. Sweet. But I'm not quite done yet. There's 2 more things that I want to do. First, I got my hands on the Statue of True Perfection by interacting with the perfection tracker, and then went for a final trip to the volcano, where I got the Concerned Ape mask by talking to this monkey on top of the forge. Truly terrifying, and who better to display it than the cursed mannequin. I rushed back home and didn't even notice that I have a second giant pumpkin on my farm. I put the mannequin inside the shed, and now my collection is completed. And that concludes my journey towards perfection in Stardew Valley. I know that for some people it might not seem like a big deal, but I was so excited about this, and still am. Again, this was the very first time ever I managed to get to perfection. This episode is probably a lot shorter than the other ones, but I hope it was still entertaining to watch. And if there's actually people out there who watched all 3 parts of this series, then thank you. I truly appreciate you watching my videos. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do next. I want to do a modded playthrough at some point, but I need to mentally prepare for this one. If you have any ideas on what you'd like to see in the future, then please let me know in the comments down below. I love reading them. And again, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.